Hi, my name is Dear Tiagi, and in this video, I'll be going over the most common SAT trap answers for both the reading, writing, and math sections. So to start, the most common trap answer I've seen on the reading, writing section as a tutor, where I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of problems, is the opposite trap answer. So the opposite trap answer consists of an answer choice that is correct in terms of where the items it's creating a relationship between, but it's incorrect in terms of how it creates that relationship. So for example, let's say I have a passage that says that cats are better than dogs. Well, the opposite type answer would say that dogs are better than cats. So we have the two right items in the relationship, but we're messing up how we connect them. And so the way to fix this kind of mistake is to really understand the relationship, and especially between how they're being connected, the two items in a relationship in the passage. The second trap answer I've seen is called the eye catcher trap answer. And basically, the eye catcher consists of an answer choice that has basically a lot of keywords from the passage or the question, or it consists of a really advanced vocabulary that may draw people to select that answer choice. And the reason why the eye catcher usually isn't correct is because the SAT knows that a lot of people might be rushing the test or really might be in a time crunch. And so what they do is they have answer choices that have similar words or maybe even the exact same words as in the passage or in the question to kind of trick people into selecting that choice. But more than often, that choice is not correct because they know people are just going to select that because it has similar words. And so the strategy is to kind of remedy this is to don't just like select it because it has complex vocabulary or it has similar words. You really have to be sure that you're reading the passage carefully and really understanding what the passage is saying. So that's how you kind of remedy that. Next, we have the off-topic answer choice. So the off-topic answer choice doesn't really answer the question, nor does it really have evidence from the passage. So oftentimes the off-topic might sound correct, it might be a correct statement, but the issue is the question, the off-topic answer choice doesn't really answer the question, nor is it ever supported by the passage. And so the reason this isn't correct is because it's not answering the question, right? And so the way we remedy this is by making sure that whatever answer choice we select answers the correct question. And so you can always check at the end, this is the answer choice I selected, answer the question to make sure you didn't fall into this trap. Next, we have the could be true trap. And this trap usually occurs when people try to overanalyze or try to analyze in general the answer choice and say, okay, maybe this could work if I consider or make an inference about the passage. But the issue is the SAT is not subjective. You're not supposed to do any analysis, even if the question asks you to sort of like make an analysis, right? They never want you to actually make an analysis, because if they did, imagine if they made you make an analysis, right? Analyses are subjective, right? They can be different for each person. And so on a multiple choice test, you can't have multiple right answers, right? Which is why you can never make an inference on the SAT. So the way to remedy this is to make no inferences, and you always want to make sure that you're using direct evidence from the passage, right? You never want to make like an inference or a guess based on the passage. No analysis, even on questions that ask you for analysis. Next trap is the extreme language trap. The extreme language trap uses language and words that are really extreme, or like 100% kind of words, like always or never, in the answer choice, which usually doesn't fit, you right? Because usually the author never really has like a 100% kind of support for this or 100% kind of disapproval for this. So it's usually never just like never or always, right? Because there's usually some kind of like you know more complex stance, right? It's usually never just like black and white, which is why the extreme language choices usually are incorrect because the author doesn't really usually have such a black and white stance. Next, we have the half right answer trap. This one consists of an answer choice that is like half right, so like maybe one part's right but the other part's wrong, right? For this one's pretty easy. If any part of the answer choice is wrong, you can cross out the question, right? Immediately, because it has to be all correct for the answer to be correct. You can't just have one section be correct. It all has to be correct for the answer to work. So half right is one of the mistakes. Another mistake, especially on the vocab questions, is using the wrong tone / connotation. So beyond selecting a word that fits the definition, you also want to select words that kind of match the tone and connotation of the passage, right? Because otherwise it's just going to sound weird and wrong in terms of the passage. And finally, number 8, this considers writing questions, right? You want to make sure that your answer choice doesn't just sound right. Because oftentimes what they do is they have answer choices that sound right, right? If you put it in the passage, it sounds right when you're reading it, but the issue is it's not actually grammatically correct. And so the idea is, while it does work for a lot of questions, right? Just plugging it in and seeing if it sounds right. A lot of times they have trap answers where sounding right isn't correct. You have to make sure when you're answering these writing questions that you consider the grammar rules behind it and you kind of support your answer choice using correct English grammar rules. Next, let's go into the math question. So the first one I have is called the partial solution trap. And this trap consists of an answer choice that has an answer choice that consists of the answer for a previous step. So for example, let's say we're trying to solve this system's equations, right? And um, the question is really asking us to find what is 2x, right? And so we solve, and we find x. One of the answer choices I'm betting you is going to be the answer x. It'll give you x equals 7. One of the answer choices is going to be 7. But the trick is that's not the solution, right? We have to be actually answering the question. The real answer is 2x, 2 times 7. The answer is 14. So the partial solution consists of trying to stop you from finishing the problem and just picking an answer choice because your numbers match. So always, always, always check that the solution you picked answers the correct question that's being asked. Next, similar to this is the unit conversion trap. This consists on questions with units, right? Oftentimes the units change in either the answer choice or in the problem, which requires you to convert it and to change the units. Next is the wrong formula trap. So oftentimes in a question, they might use another formula that's similar to the formula that's correct, and they might give you an answer choice that relates to that wrong formula. So for example, let's say we have the circumference, right, 2 pi r. The area is also pi r squared. And those are two really similar formulas that might get, students might like trip up. And so the idea is you have to make sure you're picking the right formula because they might have answer choices that use the wrong formula. Next, we have the plugging in trap. This one's pretty basic, but it consists of you plugging in the wrong number into the wrong variable, right? So whenever you're answering the question, make sure you understand what variable means what, and you're plugging into the right variable. Next, we have the concept confusion answer choice. This consists of mixing up similar concepts. So for example, x-intercept or y-intercept, right? You might have an answer choice that kind of mixes that up. So always make sure that you have the correct concept in mind and that you're thinking through it, correctly. And finally, we have the last type, which is a misreading graph type. This is when you have a graph, right? They might misread the graph. So they might misread the scale, they might misread the x or y intercept or a point, etc. And this might be a trap answer on the test. So those are the most common SAT trap answers that you'll see on the reading, writing, and math sections. That's it for today, guys. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye.